Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. You know who it is. Today we're going to be teaching you how to blow up your opponent's lead. Now this is a fundamental strategic approach, a no gimmick way to win Dota games despite being behind. First let's get into what does being behind actually mean. So I think there's a couple ways to think about this. Maybe you are at a gold or XP disadvantage. Maybe you lost lanes. Maybe you lost a team fight. Maybe you're just inefficient. Maybe you're just walking around that too much and not really knowing what to do. Maybe you're at a hero disadvantage. Maybe you are countered. Maybe your team is countered. Maybe you have a 5-man lineup, but you're against a split push team. Maybe you have a 5-man lineup and you're against a gank lineup and you keep splitting up. And maybe you're just getting outshoved. Maybe you're against a Jakiro or a Winter Wyvern with a Nature's Prophet, and they're shoving lanes into you. So, why does this matter? Well, if someone has more farm and more levels, chances are they're going to whoop your ass in a team fight. And losing a team fight is going to mean you lose map control. And when you lose that map control, the enemy team is going to de-ward. They're going to put up their vision. They're going to go deeper vision. They're going to keep you in your base. So losing vision means you're going to lose Roshan, and this is really significant because typically when the enemy team is ahead, they have Roshan, they go high ground, you cannot kill that enemy carry twice. You can only kill them once. You're going to use your Black Hole, you're going to use your Ravage, you're going to use your BKB, and you're going to end up killing that enemy Troll Warlord or whoever the hell the carry is. But they respawn, they have their cooldowns up, they smack you, they smack your buildings, you end up losing. So let's talk about what can you do? What can you do when you are behind? Well, if you're weak, you want to really avoid the enemy. And your goal here is farm as much as you possibly can until you are strong. So this means, shove the lanes. And if enemy has map control, now you want to play behind the enemy. Typically what you want to do is force the enemy to respond to you. So if you're split pushing, you're threatening a tower, force them to make the decision, do I teleport or do I keep trying to make this high ground attempt? And really, you need to only take fights when you have an advantage. If you are behind, you're not going to win that 5v5. You're not going to be able to brute force. So you're going to have to be a little bit strategic, a little bit tactical with your approach to the game. And here's a little good infographic here, right? So this is a cycle. This is always going to, you're never just going to, do this system once. You're going to have to do it over and over and over again inside of a game. You're going to have to split push safely. You're going to have to threaten towers. You're going to have to force that TP, and then you're going to have to take that smart fight. It's not always going to be like this, and I'll get into that later. But functionally, this is what it's going to look like. We're not only behind here because of net worth. We're not behind because of net worth here. We are behind because my team cannot fight into this enemy team. So we see here, what I do is at the 10 minutes mark, I split push mid with my illusion, and then I come into the enemy triangle. I just died in my triangle, and so instead of trying to be, this is the safest player in the map right now. Their team does not want to play here. They want to push the agenda forward. They want to start taking towers. They do not want to play in their side of the map. So what I do, go in the enemy triangle. I get punished for it. But I realize, everybody is on the bottom side of the map. They just TP'd 4 people. So I buy back and I take this tower. This is the kind of stuff you need to do when you're behind. You need to take risks. You need to play aggressive, right? I just saw 4 TPs bottom, so I just buy back. It's like 200 gold, and you'll see this is actually going to be pretty good for me. I get this tower, I get all this space now, and now I can start cutting mid, start cutting top, and this is what I'm going to do. We force somebody to respond to us, and then we are able to punish them because of it. And now we end up taking the net worth lead despite the pause 1 buying back. Kind of nuts. Here's another example. The enemy team is Roshan, and instead of moving towards that fight, what I do, I purchase a BKB just after a Yasha Dragonlance because the enemy team has absolutely no way to BKB cancel except for Lifestealer Basher, which I don't think he has. So me and this TA, we threaten this top tier 3. We give up Roshan. We can see we've given that to the Lifestealer. However, I get a Rax at 24 minutes, despite being a 3 to 15 kill deficit. Moving along now to 30 minutes into the game.
Sustains, gold remains.
Here's one of the best things you can do with your illusion heroes is if you're playing TB, if you're playing Axe now, you need to have a good sense of when the creep lanes are. So this creep wave is going to spawn at 3:30. It's going to come down. And this is split pushing safely. This is one of the safest ways to split push in the game. I'm just setting my illusion middle, setting another illusion top, cutting 2 lanes, and then I end up actually teleporting here to take a team fight. But the enemy team disengages because, that's just life. So cut waves with illusions. This is going to increase your farm significantly, and it's going to delay the game, which is what you want. So more of the same here. I'm actually, threatening tier 4s here with my illusion. This forces Timbersaw to play back in his base. He doesn't want that courier to die, and this is just a simple decision. But what it does is it keeps one of their strongest heroes, their highest net worth hero, out of this team fight. So the Timbersaw is far away from his team. So this, potentially, if I wasn't doing this type of play, it would have been a 4v3. But here it becomes a 3v3 when I'm severely ahead. And despite this net worth advantage, this is not really that significant because I have the team composition here is so poor with this Mirana and this Pudge. Despite being 17k ahead, we still need to play pretty safe. I can still get blown up by this Timbersaw, Dazzle, and OD. So we take these smart fights, force this Timbersaw away. He's not there to threaten me, so I can just smack all his people. I don't have to use my BKB immediately. I mean, I'm getting lots of kills here, where we almost killed the Lifestealer, almost killed the OD. Maybe we do kill the OD. And, just sitting an illusion mid, trying to kill some couriers, this results in us having a very decisive, very clean team fight, and then we end up taking tier 3s. So what can go wrong? Alright, sometimes you're going to split against gank heroes. It's going to be rough. Sometimes you're trying to force an issue as a pause 1, and what ends up happening is you have this knowledge, you have this idea that you need to take these good fights, you need to split push, you need to threaten towers, but sometimes your team isn't on board with that, and you end up getting punished for that. You end up going a little bit too ahead, and you need to wait for your Ravage to be up, you need to wait for your Enigma. So you can't take advantage of every opportunity if your team isn't going to be there. And sometimes when you're splitting, you really do need to take 30 seconds, 40 seconds to wait until the enemy shows. Sometimes they could be waiting for you. So if you do a good job of being patient, make sure that you see 4 or 5 heroes before you start really aggressively cutting a lane, then it's going to help you out a lot. And here's a little graphic that I've taken from a Dota Haven guide. This is a concept, we call it the triangle. But essentially, it's a concept that describes how your team should be playing. So if you have a team that is stronger in a 5v5 environment, then splitting is going to be really advantageous against that. But if your team is really good at splitting and the enemy team is really good at ganking, now it's pretty hard. Now you're going to have to 5-man, and the comeback in that situation is different than what I've been describing. So let's take a look at a game that can showcase how to play from pause 1 if you're a stronger 5-man lineup. We're taking a look at one of the TI qualifier games. This is 2-based against 4 Zoomers, and this is a really good game because 2-based, they end up having a severe net worth disadvantage, but they still pull it out, and a lot of that is due to the play of Boris. He doesn't play perfect in this game. This is a really good example of still having that hope and good mechanical play that'll keep you winning games despite being behind. Here's an example. Boris is actually #1 net worth at 15 minutes. He comes up to his triangle and he goes to farm it. And you think that this would be a safe location, typically. As you advance in your MMR, as you play against better opponents, especially for playing competitively, enemy teams know where the gyro is going to be farming, typically. So they invade the jungle and they end up slapping him. Coming into 17 minutes now, Boris makes an adjustment. He knows that it's no longer safe to farm up here. So what he does, and this is going back to our idea behind split pushing safely, in Boris's situation here, it's actually being inside of his own triangle, just deeper. So instead of being in the middle of the triangle where there's 3 or 4 different avenues to get you, he goes all the way close to his tier 2, so he's really protected. He's going to see these people coming, and it's not going to be as guaranteed a team fight. Boris tries to make the good carry play, and he tries to push this off lane, which typically is going to be relatively safe. Ends up getting ganked. The whole load is blown on him. So what Boris decides to do is he says, okay, I can no longer split push anymore, and I'm going to have to rely on staying safe by staying close to my team. So he can't shove lanes anymore because the enemy team is obviously aware of that. So what he does is follows his team as they smoke. So his team ends up taking an advantageous fight with this smoke, with this high ground. They isolate this Wraith King. They pop all their ultimates on him. Boris comes in late after everything, after the fight has gone by, shows up here, and if 4 Zoomers had committed, he would be in a great spot to continue and take this fight. Jumping now to 25 minutes, we can see that this is a 17-6 net worth, disadvantage at 8k. Like, this is not going good. Boris is still #1 net worth. He's still farming a lot, and that's a testament to his play on this gyrocopter. Despite having 3 deaths, only 1 kill, no assist, farming well. We see that his team, they're getting initiated on right now. We can see that 2 base, Earth Spirit goes down. Boris doesn't even try and take that fight, disengages, he TP's top instantly, and then he knows what's been happening whenever he splits a lane. The enemy team runs at him. So he doesn't even shove these lanes out. One little note to make is before Boris TP'd, let's take a look here. He sees his team getting gone on, comes in, very safely farms this, comes in with the call down before the TP top. So this is what we mean by shoving lanes safely and forcing the enemy to react to you. He TP's top, forces the enemy to make the decision, do I shove out bottom, do I shove mid, do I shove top, do I try and kill this gyro? He's making it hard for them. And now we're getting into the final stages of the comeback. This is a 20-6 lead for 4 Zoomers, a 13k net worth advantage. And here's what it means by taking fights when you have the advantage. This is a huge item timing coming from this Satanic on the gyrocopter. It means he's going to essentially have 2 or 3 lives, especially with his BKB. Split pushing has not been working for this team, so we need to take fights intelligently. So if I go and look at the Dire, we can see here that they have this amazing ward planted, and it's giving vision of some of the most important heroes when it comes to team fight. This Tide Hunter and this Ember Spirit. So what do 2 base do? They smoke, they wrap all the way around, they keep their Mars to defend this so it doesn't look too fishy. And let's take a look at this fight. They catch the Tide out. They use a couple BKBs, use a couple stuns, he ends up dying. So this is Tide buyback, this is Phoenix buyback. Tide didn't get a Ravage out, Phoenix didn't get any of their spells out. But look at this positioning, it's amazing. This Wraith King goes down, the Ember Spirit goes down. We'll probably kill him this Piranha. So this is the smart team fight. Boris with the Satanic Tide. Imagine if this guy is dead right now. Here's the Satanic, he just used it. Imagine if he didn't even have the Satanic. You can see here though, good team fight coordination coming out from 2 base, and Boris ends up surviving through the lifesteal off the Satanic. Boris goes on to win this game, but Boris's play, by still farming, not taking too many stupid fights, not trying to push anything, just by being patient and waiting for the right fight to come around, wait for your good timing, and you make these plays, you end up winning the game. And as we can see here, boom, simply 2-based victory. So let's talk about summary here. Here's what I want you to do when you're playing behind. You split push safely, you threaten towers, you force a TP use, and then you take a smart fight. Sometimes you can't split push safely in threatened towers. So sometimes you have to just farm with your team, but that's when you have a 5-man advantage against a ganking lineup, against storms. So you want to farm safely. If you're against an LC, if you're against a storm, don't shove lanes, stay deep in your jungle, and hopefully your other cores and your team is going to play together to prevent that advantage of that storm or LC pickoff. Now, you need to think about when you get your item timings and when to fight. So if you just get a don't fight before your BKB, fight after your BKB. If you're about to get a Satanic, tell your team to wait for 300 gold, 400 gold for a Satanic, and then take that fight. You also have to think, how am I going to split push? If you're an illusion hero, way easier. If you're an arc warden, way easier. If you're playing Jug or Lifestealer and you have BKB TP that can't be interrupted, then that's a great way to split push. Now you're going to itemize towards dispelling silences like a Manta or Satanic, and really you need to let your team die if they take bad engagements. That's what's going to happen in a pub. The enemy team is going to run down mid. They're going to try and take your tier 1 or tier 2. Your team is going to TP in to defend. But if you know you won't benefit from being there, then keep farming. You are the highest scaling hero in the game. So get your items, split push, take smart fights. Let's talk about some of the homework, some of the things that you can do to practice this. If you're behind, really try your best to farm while avoiding fights. Then after your game, I want you to go to Dota2ProTracker.com. I want you to find a similar game that a pro played and watch that replay. Typically what I do is I try and look for a similar draft composition. So if I had an offlane who maybe was a Leshrac, maybe was a Night Stalker, I would consider those greedy heroes that need to farm 1 or 2 items before they can actually be effective on the map. I'm going to look for a similar game and see how that pro played in that game. Then I'm going to watch my own replay. And I'm going to ask, did I split push safely? I'm going to take 10 seconds to analyze the lane state before I go and shove a lane. Do I see people? Are people showing? Maybe there's 4 people off the map and I decided to go an extra wave. What I should have done is just waited in the trees, wait for people to show, and then go back and just help and chill with my team. And the other opportunities to look for are team fights. Maybe you forced a reaction and you could have TP'd to your team to help them have an advantageous fight. And really, keep track of the differences between your play and the professional players. It's going to help you if you're methodical and taking an analytical approach to this game. Dota is a game about making decisions, so the better you can make decisions and the more informed your decisions are, the better your results are going to be. Oh, hey, you made it to the end of the video. That's pretty cool. I guess this is where I plug some shit, but hang out with me on Twitch. You're already on my YouTube, so just, do the things. And I put a link to my Discord if you want to come ask some questions or hang out, because obviously this video is going to blow up. But yeah, see you later, boys.